Hello, friends. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the Olympics. I mean, it's an event which hundreds of millions of people are watching, and probably over the course, billions of people have watched it. And I think it's something of significance. In many ways, the Olympics are very refreshing. I mean, instead of reading about countries killing each other, maiming its citizens, and doing all kinds of horrible, grotesque activities, we're reading about countries that are filled with sportsmanship, competition, healthy competition. There's a lot of decency and camaraderie. And indeed, when we think about history, I know I do sometimes thinking about history, I think about wars and conquest. And every day, history is being made. Last year's or 4 years ago, or great standards have been superseded by even more astounding athletic feats. So in certain ways, it's a machaya. It's nice to read about this. It's clean fun, and it's very, very, very relaxing. And you think to yourself, oh, if all of the nations could only get along together as they're doing it right now. And yet, when you think about the juxtaposition of the opening night, essentially, that the Olympics took place on the saddest day of the Jewish calendar, the day that marks the destruction of the temple, I think it's something to ponder upon. Is there a message in it? Of course, we all know of the scandal and the shameful activity of the Olympic Committee. They did not want a moment of silence. They did not want to recognize or remember the tragedy of Munich. So that also cast a pall or a sour note. Let's think for a moment. What is the world actually celebrating? I mean, would it be that was the celebrating spirit, the human spirit? Maybe one could see determination, confidence, visualization of the athletes. But actually, we're not celebrating human spirit. We're celebrating the human body. What is the human body capable of? And it's remarkable what the human body is capable of. Well, if the body is so capable, what about the mind? When do we get a chance to celebrate with all of the fanfare of what the human mind is capable of thinking? And then you go a step further and you say, well, we have the Nobel Prizes for that, and we all know what a sham that is. But what about the nobility of the human spirit, such as the soul? And when you think about these things, there's a body, and there's a mind, and there's a soul, and you think about the Olympics, where would you put the excellence of the athletes? We say, well, look, don't be so harsh on them. I mean, after all, it's good for the world. And you say, hold it, good for the world? Where is this idea of unity? Here there are countries that ostensibly are competing with one another, against one another, in a very, very respectful way. And yet these are the very same countries where citizens of one country is frightened to walk in its other country. If you just take a look at the great cities of where the Olympics have been held, whether it be the infamous, in my opinion, Berlin, 1936, or whether it be Russia, or whether it be China, Beijing, and you say, well, take a look, they had the Olympics, so how much better, how much more ethical, how much more respectful towards their fellow human beings occurred from that? On the contrary, in Berlin, there was a war, and even one could argue Afghanistan and so on, during the Olympics, it all became a political struggle and a political tension, perhaps, between countries. How could something so good not function so well? And I think it's actually quite obvious, just the name itself, Olympics. The gods of Olympia, ancient Greek. It had always been said that the Jewish concept was remarkably different than the Greek concept. The Greek concept created gods in the image of man. There was Hercules, there's Zeus. They all have these supernatural abilities and all of the vices and foibles of mankind. But Judaism made man in the image of God, and took a person who's of flesh and blood and said, don't look at his inadequacies, don't look at the fact that he can't run a mile in 4.5 minutes. Look that he has a majesty, and he has a holiness and a spirituality which indeed is a little bit of the fragrance of what God himself actually is. Two opposites. God's in the image of man, man in the image of God. So sure, what we're celebrating in a certain way is, look at these human gods. They run faster than human beings should. They swim faster than human beings. They jump higher. Wow. Wow, what? Human beings in the image of Greek gods? Obviously, it was something like that. In the ultimate sense, I don't believe there'll be a great blessing. What's quite amazing to me as well is this week, the World Judaism finished a cycle of study where over 7.5 years, the Talmud was studied by tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of Jews, and they marked it with a wonderful celebration. Celebrations in Israel, and just last night, Wednesday night in New Jersey, I think it's called MetLife Stadium, they had approximately 90,000 human beings, men and women, celebrating wisdom, celebrating knowledge, celebrating goodness, celebrating religion, celebrating a document that not only is the marrow of Judaism, but has offered the world a glimpse into the world of holiness. They gather, we gather. You could have 90,000 people cheering an athlete, and they all go home, what? Uplifted? You could have 90,000 people gather to say, thank you, God, for sharing with us your holy wisdom. We have studied it. We have absorbed it. And now we hope and pray that we will utilize it in the way that you gave us. When I see this gathering, and I celebrate our gathering, the gathering of Torah, the gathering of goodness, I once again affirm, Ashreinu Matov Chalkeinu, how fortunate is our lot, how beautiful is our portion. Let's hope and pray that God will look down from the heavens, bless all of humanity, and see the beauty of his people as the excellence of light that comes from darkness. And with that vision, we will all be able to celebrate a wonderful Shabbos, a delightful tomorrow,